Hi, I'm Jazzy Jordz, and you're watching Crack Your Career. Today, we're going to talk about Greek gods, Thomas Aquinas, and memory champions. In this tutorial, we'll explain how your brain works and how to train it every day to make it better and faster at learning. You've come to the right place. Welcome to Job Teaser.
One day, in a not too distant future, we'll be able to learn a new language just by plugging a USB stick into our brains. No way. That's the plot for The Matrix.
Until we get to that point, we'll have to train our brains. Sorry. Welcome to your brain gym. Metaphorically speaking, because our brains aren't a muscle. But the good news is that it is totally possible to train our brains. Usually, our brain gets good at the tasks we train it to do. That's how memory champions can temporarily retain 500 phone numbers and repeat them back pretty much immediately. They train their brains, but they might also forget their best mate's birthday the month after. By the way, today Oscar is 234 years old. Having fun, bro? He's the life of the party. Memorizing phone numbers only uses our working memory, but remembering birthdays needs both our working memory to get it into our brains in the first place and our semantic memory to keep it there long term. What's the point in having billions of neurons, I ask you? I get it. All those apps that promise to grow everyone's grey matter are tempting. But if we train our brains to memorize as many numbers as possible or do mental maths, we're only temporarily improving our ability to hold more information. Same goes for if we train our brain to click on shapes or colors as quickly as possible or spell out words. That doesn't make us better at arithmetic or crosswords. Lining up rows of sweets on a screen doesn't make you clever either, needless to say. But don't worry. All is not lost. Your brain is still a plastic organ. It's just that the tasks that commercial brain training games prepare us for are too basic and estranged from reality to be really effective. Basically, they don't give us skills that we can transfer over into our day-to-day lives. You have to tackle complex tasks if you want to resist the effects of age or cognitive conditions. These tasks need to activate your brain and trigger multiple cognitive processes. One example is learning a new language. Whatever you're learning, from Spanish to Mandarin, you call on various skills. And these include your ability to mute your first language when you're speaking your new one, your long-term semantic memory, your inferential and analogical reasoning, which means your ability to resolve a completely new problem using deduction or solutions you've used for similar puzzles, your verbal abilities, your active listening abilities, and even your social skills when you're practicing a new language. For instance, should I eat the last nachos? My social skills are telling me no. Guys, I'm gonna need another shirt. It has been shown that people who speak multiple languages are less likely to develop Alzheimer's. Because they counteract the disease, they tend to show symptoms much later on in life. So the key to keeping your brain healthy is complexity. Learning a new language, performing in a play, writing and discussing the books we've read. These are all more stimulating than reading alone, which is a passive activity. So you could play Trivial Pursuit with your mates, or even better, devise your own board game. Anyway, you get the idea. The more intellectually difficult something is, the better it is for your neurons over the long term. You know me, generosity is my middle name. Now you've taken on board my first tip, here's another one. You'll see it's a step up from tip number 1. To train your brain, you need to go all in on neurofeedback and biofeedback. Biofeedback is when you observe your bodily reactions as they happen, such as how fast your heart is beating, the rhythm of your breath, or your temperature. Neurofeedback is when you observe your brain's reactions using a helmet which presses electrodes against your head. Obviously, we don't all have access to one of these at home, but it is a really effective way of seeing how activated our brains are. Admit it, you're a bit tempted. When we watch how our biological or neuronal responses change, we can start to figure out strategies for managing them. In reality, not everyone experiences bio and neurofeedback in the same way. Around 30% of people can't learn how to control their physiological or brain reactions. Looking on the bright side, this means that it does work for 70% of us. The important thing to remember is that it doesn't hurt to try. Are you ready to do a quick biofeedback exercise? Instead of the electrodes, we'll start off with a light version. All you need is a device for measuring your body's responses. That might be a smartwatch that measures your heart rate, for instance. And you can do the same thing with your breathing. So now put yourself in a situation which usually provides a strong bodily reaction in you. Don't go mad. You obviously don't need to put yourself in any danger to test how you react. And remember, if you have a heart or neurological condition, or you suffer from epilepsy, please consult your doctor before trying any of these exercises. Okay, let's get back to it. Put yourself in a stressful but safe situation. If you're scared of heights, that might be watching a GoPro video of someone bungee jumping. And if you're scared of spiders, you might watch a documentary about Australian spider infestations. Sorry for that. You can also imagine what you'll say to your crush at the next party. It's for my shy people. And if you're shy, scared of spiders and heights, obviously all you have to do is picture declaring your love while bungee jumping in Australia. Your heart should be beating faster now. It's time to take control and slow it back down. How, you ask? I'll be honest with you, there are no silver bullets here. You'll have to figure out which mental strategies work for you. Don't look so disappointed. Trial and error is what it's all about, because it lets us use what we learn in other contexts. We never said it would be easy. Once you've found the mental strategy that works for you, try using it with other stimuli. Imagine you're in a job interview, or giving a presentation, or you've just rocked up naked to a team meeting. I guess it's not exactly stressful for everyone. Now that we've trained our brains, let's see how you can learn more effectively. Again, there are no silver bullets here. Practice makes perfect. If you want to remember something long term, it's better to learn a little bit every day and repeat it regularly. Every time we remember something, we reactivate and reinforce the cerebral connections we made when we learnt it to embed it into our memory. Thanks to these solid foundations, even if we forget what we know because we've not recalled it for a bit, it'll be easier to relearn. That's how times tables work. You will never forget them. Mnemonic devices are another thing that can work well. One of the most famous mnemonic devices, the memory palace. This technique can help you remember long lists of words, like passages from a book, the latest Megan Thee Stallion song, or other stuff, by mentally storing them somewhere you know really well. But how do you actually do that? Well, what you do is associate what you want to remember with objects. Let's look at a really simple example, a shopping list. You've written tomato puree, gnocchi, mozzarella, parmigiano, and basil. Yes, you're having Sorrentino gnocchi tonight, one of my favorites. The idea is to spot the objects as you retrace the route in your mind. And there you go, you've turned your shopping list into a game. This technique is effective because our memory works by associating ideas. My advice to you would be to visualize rooms you know well and can imagine without having to think about it. It doesn't have to be a palace, could be the flat you live in or even the route you take to work. The bigger your places, the more memories you can store there. So if you're Harry Potter, probably don't choose your childhood bedroom. You can also turn the information you're storing into rhymes or set it to music. Another tip is to associate the things you want to remember with your senses. We're better at retaining things that trigger several of our senses. You'll be better at remembering your mozzarella if you can feel it melting in your mouth with a bit of basil and a dash of olive oil and a pinch of salt. Guys, have you got another t-shirt? This is why you can use different senses to remember the same thing. For instance, you might use a visual, then an auditory memory, then a story, and then associate this with a sensation. Contrary to popular opinion, we don't learn using just one sense alone. So no more excuses about having just a visual or auditory memory. We're all multisensory beings. And the more we use our senses to remember information, the better we'll retain it. The harder you make it to remember something, the harder our brain works to mobilize all its massive concentration abilities to do it. And this in turn helps to embed things even deeper into our memories. As far as our brains are concerned, why do things the easy way when you can complicate it? If you want to learn some text or points to bring up at a job interview or important presentation, be sure to do a dress rehearsal. You need to throw yourself into it. You could even ask a friend to pretend to be a tough interviewer. Put on your best suit and remember to smile. This is a way of associating your knowledge with a particular situation, and your brain won't lose track on the big day. Practice the questions that the interviewer might ask you, but change your order every time you go over it. And feel free to throw in a biofeedback exercise to complete the experience. Nabbing your job is going to be a piece of cake. Last but not least, I have a feeling you're gonna like my last tip. Sleep. If you've not slept well the night before you try to learn something, your tired brain will struggle to use its concentration to embed new information. The good news is that your brain keeps working while you sleep to consolidate all your new knowledge in your long-term memory. So just like that, you'll become champion learner and memorizer in your sleep. I'm off to work on my memory.